It's hardly surprising that Michael Thornton pursued a career that involved moving parts and engineering. He'd grown up watching his father indulge in a love of speedway and engines.
On the sideline, he used to make his own race engine, believe it or not, and in his garage at home when we were kids. And he got into, he was a toolmaker by trade and got into service work and designing special purpose machinery for the timber industry.
Thornton Jr. did an apprenticeship with an engineering firm before setting off on his OE, but when he came home he realised he was ambivalent about joining his father in the family firm.
I wanted to get into the robotics space. He didn't, he saw it as too big a risk, and long story short, we built up the business, got into robotics, and then decided that it wasn't the easiest thing to be in a family business, just got this whole dynamics. So we had the business valued and I bought out the family.
Back then, JMP Engineering employed around 30 people and only serviced the New Zealand market. Now, more than 2 decades later, it has more than 250 staff and operates in Australia, the US, Canada, the UK, Indonesia, China, Fiji, Malaysia, South America and Dubai, all serviced from a factory now located in the industrial hub of Avondale in Auckland. By the time Michael took over the business, JMP was focused on machinery for the packaging industry. His light bulb moment was figuring out that it might be able to use automotive robots to help stack pallets.
I went up to Japan. No one would talk to me because I was just too young. Eventually we convinced somebody to sell us a robot, and then from there it all started.
These days the company designs, manufactures, installs and supports robotic equipment that packs and wraps goods onto pallets all over the world. It also sells the data that tracks the packages along the entire supply chain. The company's growth has been funded entirely through bank loans and its own cash flow. And nearly 50 years after his father founded the business, Thornton remains its sole shareholder.
I'm not answerable to anybody. A lot of what we've done along the journey has all just gone back into the business. So we own our own buildings, our land. The staff have been very good and stable. So it hasn't been too difficult really from that side of it.
But he admits the early years were tough.
When I bought the business off the family, we just moved out of living in a caravan, my wife and I, because I'd just come back from overseas. I was building a house and we had no money. I mean, we were, like I say, living in a caravan on a section that we bought.
Nevertheless, the ANZ Bank backed his plans and it continued to back the business when one of its early clients went into receivership and was unable to pay for some major projects.
From there, we learnt to be a lot stronger, and so we learnt well from that.
Expanding into overseas markets was also educational. The company's expertise in the local dairy industry led to work in the dairy industry in Australia and the US, which eventually led to work for other industries like the snack food market.
To go offshore, you've got to compete against larger corporations, and so you learn to become self-sufficient quite early in the game, because if you don't, you're not going to survive.
Kiwi ingenuity has also been integral to JMP's success. The company was already installing 10 systems a year in the US when it heard about a contract up for grabs at PepsiCo.
So we said, we'll put our name into the ring. They said, no, you're from New Zealand, too far away. So we said, look, give us a shot and at least you got something to compare it against.
PepsiCo did give them a shot and JMP's novel ideas eventually won the day. It has since sold the American food giant around 600 systems.
And that's just grown into bigger and better systems. So we do anything from a single lane, one product, up to we're installing a 66 lane system at the moment.
Although dairy products remain a key focus, it also supplies the largest automated pineapple plant in Costa Rica, works with banana growers in the Australian outback, and has some of the largest systems in North and Central America for apples, pears and cherries. Through its snack foods division, Frito-Lay, PepsiCo has taken JMP into markets like Saudi Arabia, the Middle East and Egypt.
they'd like us to go into places like Russia and all that, which we're not overly keen on yet.
In Canada, it uses the name icon robotics due to another company sharing the same name.
In hindsight, probably it would have been better to have fought it. Running two brand names is a pain, but in America they don't care.
Thornton has so far resisted the temptation to shift manufacturing to China and takes pride in doing things his own way.
Had we gone to China, America would have been a big problem for us. So at the time, like when I went up to China, it seemed so logical to do it, but we decided not to. We get some components made up there and shipped back, but no, everything big is here.
He's also passionate about keeping the business in New Zealand and has turned down offers to amalgamate with other players. By manufacturing its own parts and assembling, installing and servicing its own equipment, the company not only makes a fatter margin, it also keeps full control over what it does. Thornton says this also makes it easier to support its clients.
Ultimately, we always remained as a manufacturing business first. To keep manufacturing going, we needed a product. So we developed the product, and the manufacturing is just basically built around that.
Thornton says the company's deliberately kept a low profile, and although his family enjoy all the trimmings of success, he jokes that he is simply too tight to spend money on marketing.
We've always used our product and the success of our product to sell the next system. So we put more emphasis on getting it right, and most of our work comes from repeat business.
Thornton also believes that the market for robotics in the packaging business has grown considerably.
The cost of manual labour has gone too high, and as have the fact that people just won't do the work, and health and safety.
Despite this growth trajectory, Thornton says he doesn't have a succession plan for his family business.
To expose the kids to all of that, they're at university now, one of them, and the other one's finishing school this week. The business has still got a lot of life left in it, and I still enjoy coming here. So I think it's probably in the future, and I don't want to get focused or hung up on it, so I don't actually give it any thought.